Hello and welcome to Garbage Builds. This week, by popular demand, the star of the show is going to be the Kawaii Lemon. Shout out to the Kawaii Lemons himself. He's a YouTuber. Obviously the helmet's put into the game to honour him. Again, thank you for Sean for putting that in for all of us. Next week we're going to be doing either the Slimecraft Helm or the Nolic Beats. Get to pick which one those are yourselves just by clicking on the card at the top right at any point during this video. So feel free to cast your votes and let me know what you want to see next week. But back to the task at hand. I'm going to show you here the Kawaii Lemon itself, the helmet, in all of its glory. Let's come over here. You can see the stats it has on offer, and of course the resting place of the old chap's hat. You were too young. Taken far too young. The Kawaii Lemon itself offers you 5 Vitality, 3 Dex, 3 Tech, and 3 Faith. The stats on this are going to address the elephant in the room. It's a really good suited helmet to go for the Warforged gun. I think it's a really good early accessible, helmet that you can get from Tyrannog. Obviously, if you want to pick that up, grind the Desolate Canyon, you kill the rare spawn, which is the rare boss Tyrannog, and it can drop this as a rare drop. And of course, that's really great for people. Obviously, it makes it really easy to get at the start of the game, and if you want to get a Warforged gun build going really quickly, that's great. But that's a good build. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a garbage build today. So I've had to go in a different direction. But yeah, genuinely, if you want to use this for the Warforged gun, go for it. I wouldn't be insulted if anybody ever used this. It's a really, really good helmet, well suited for it. And I'm using that on this character right now. I haven't changed it over or anything, but trust me, it's worth it. But I've had to go in a different direction, and the standout stats here for me, obviously, are that Dex and that Tech lineup, because all 3 of the YouTuber helmets that got added in secondarily, like this was the first one, but for these they each have a column. So mine was for the Vitality and Strength, this one was for the Dex and the Tech, and this one was for Magic and Faith. So with each of them having a column, I kind of had to adhere to those to keep the damage types separate, just for pre-planning for these videos. But the Kawaii Lemon itself also offers that 5 Vitality, so that's kind of the direction I've gone with, and you'll see that come to fruition in just a second as we go through character creation. If you give me just a moment, I'll set it all back up again. Again, I'd normally go Bounty Hunter here. I'm going to call it Citron, by the way, because that's lemon in like every other language, and the English are just weird. We're weird for whatever reason with other fruits. Just look at pineapple. That's really bizarre, right? So yeah, this would be the normal setup for me. I think that it's really good. You get a lot of stats out of it. But because the helmet itself offers a lot of Vitality, I've decided to lean into that a lot more and go with a gunner build instead. However, that doesn't change something, and that's the race. Bunyip is the superior be-all, end-all Dex race. I don't think anything stands even close to it. I don't actually have this race, but it does give you 1 Vitality and 4 Dex. It's not great. Like, it's not as good as the Bunyip. The Bunyip gives you a lot more, because you get 6 usable stats compared to the 5 from here, and you get 3 additional usable stats from Tech, which a lot of Dex builds use. So trust me, Bunyip is the be-all and end-all. If you want some honourable mentions, just in case you don't have this race, because I know it's very, very end-game, Trogon, get it as soon as you can. It's really great. Gecko, if you can't get the Trogon, is fine. It does fine for you. It offers the same amount of usable stats again, being 3, just 3 total. But if you're not using Tech and you just want to use a Dex, just get the Trogon. It's the best one. I mean, technically, like some of the starter ones give you a little bit of Dex, and it's not too bad. But yeah, Gecko, then Trogon, then Bunyip. I don't think there's any more of a tier list that you can ask for than that. So Bunyip, and like everything else, it's going to be yellow. We're going for all the yellow variants of stuff because, of course, lemons are yellow. Did you know that? I did. So there you go. We're going to have the Church of Faust storyline just to keep it consistent. And of course, we're going to look over at the uniform and the augment. Now, this was interesting. I looked at Soldier for a while because I do like the additional stats, but I don't like having to use anti-frost, anti-burn, and anti-poison potions, or prism. I don't like them. So, Monster Trainer it is. It's pretty much always going to be Monster Trainer. I'm sorry. But here's where it gets interesting. Warforged Gun, the go-to is Forsaken Mask. But again, we're not using that build. It's off the table. No point talking about it any further than that. We're not using a strength build, so these are irrelevant. HP is there, and this would be interesting to get the extra HP as well, but not entirely useful. We're looking for more damage, really, and this doesn't grant you that. The only things that do would be the Eye Gadget, which gives you a 50% chance to get Tech. It's not Dex, it's bugged. 50% chance to gain an additional Tech every time you level up, which would be interesting to use, but it's a chance, and I don't like chances like that. I'd rather have consistent builds so you can replicate at home. The Oculus goggles would be very interesting as well. However, this is also bugged. You do gain bonus movement speed, as it says you should, but you don't gain the additional tech every time you level up. So, again, would be really good because that's consistent and gives you a great bonus, but at the same time, it doesn't work. So, it doesn't work like that. Not usable. Not great. So I ended up settling with Beats by Boyzoo. Excuse me. Wow. Get my words out. Thank you. Beats by Boyzoo, actually really interesting for this because it means I don't have to waste like mod slots on dash speed or anything, which is going to be great for this build. And you'll see why in just a second as well. But Beats by Boyzoo is where the darts settled on that one. And that leaves me with Citron the Gunner, taking the Dexterity and Vitality, which is a Bunyip with the yellow eyes, just got to get them in there, taking the Monster Trainer and the Beats by Boyzoo. I'll load in this character just right now, and I'll show you. I've done most of the preparation here. Okay, I've tried it this week. Get rid of this junk. We don't need it. It's gone. See ya. I've done most of the prep this week. I'm going to go to tab 4, and my build is going to be there. So just click on this. Bam. Tab 4. This is the build across the top row. The burn rings, I will admit, I've just stolen off of Vorban, my Warforged gun character, but the rest of it is all completely fresh. I say completely, the gun isn't technically, because I used it a little bit before, but that's not the point. Axeloc's armor here is a standout, because it offers me the 3 stats I'm looking for: Vitality, Dex, and Tech. Kawaii Lemon, Vitality, Dex, and Tech, and also Faith. Don't really need the Faith, and again, a little bit more on that in a second. The 4th Age Shield, this one, again, high Vitality, actually gives you 6 stats. For whatever the reason, I just broke here. My maths just failed me, so enjoy this quick sped up bit until I get to a point where I collect my thoughts and realise I'm an idiot. But there we go. It actually gives you +8 operative stats, like useful stats on the build. So pick this up as soon as you can because it's great. But what makes it good is the Storm Cannon. And the Storm Cannon itself, I'm just going to quickly just grab my droids here as well. These need to be upgraded this week, which is kind of sad, but basically the Storm Cannon itself is this little cannon right here. But as you can see, when I went into combat mode, it took me down to 0 mana. Every time you get 0 mana, so you can't use combat chips with this. So Forsaker's Mask is useless, and a lot of other things in the game are useless. So all the damage you've got for this is coming from your weapon. There is no other choice you have. It's got to come from the weapon. But to compensate, the weapon's damage actually scales with Vitality plus Dex plus Tech, all 1-to-1. It's fantastic scaling on a weapon, like really, really strong. And so everything I'm having is just using Vitality, Dex, and Tech. Like everything here offers those, other than the Kawaii Lemon, which also offers Faith, and this offers everything. But the 4th Age Shield happens to be the most usable stats of any shield in the game for this particular build. So just got to go for that. And there's the Storm Cannon as well itself. Really, really interesting weapon. I'm excited to see the damage numbers it can actually like churn out later on. But we'll see that near enough in the near future as well. But for now, I'm going to level it up to level 15, and I'm going to jump into Desolate Canyon just to do a benchmark, and I'll see you guys in just a second. Here we are, Desolate Canyon, what a familiar place. Of course, I do need to go and upgrade these droids at some point. They're going to be butterflies. Wow, it really doesn't make a difference what you upgrade them to from the Flower 08s, but the butterflies I think look kind of cool, so I'm going to go for those. A few things I should mention right now. I know what I'm going to do with the build here. I do these the planning for these a little bit ahead of time, and you can see like the projectile range isn't that great. It's not even a full screen, and of course because it's a cannon, it does knock you back slightly. So this is what Beats by I think is useful because it gives you a lot more maneuverability even when you haven't got the cannon out, and it allows you to like you can of course cancel cannon animations by like walking. So like things like this make it really easy just to move around, and the extra movement speed from the Oculus goggles doesn't help you that much because you move around a bit too much when you're using a cannon. But as you can see here, I'm distracting you from what's going on. 427 damage, 640 on a crit. How convenient. 427. That's at level 15 without even like maxed out droids or anything. That's really, really impressive. As I said, it's a big cost because you can't use any combat chips. And that brings up a question of what do you use instead, and the obvious answer is just raw stats. The obvious choice for me here is Vitality 10 chips, and the reason I was saying Vitality is because Faith is basically a null stat. Unfortunately, it's a complete waste on the Kawaii Lemon in this build in particular, and I would humour you for a second just saying, oh, how many shots is it going to take to kill a Gorak? But it's 1, he's got like 300 HP, so see ya. But yeah. I feel as though Faith is a waste, which is unfortunate, but it's not going to be always. If you are using like a Warforged gun build, you have got the opportunity to use a little bit of Faith if you're interested. But I'm going to have to get my damage mitigation from somewhere else. And the case happens to be that the null damage potion is really powerful, and it happens to give you 50% damage reduction from all sources, which is actually fantastic. So for me, that makes complete sense. It makes the build relatively safe. You're going to have 100 HP, as you should have, and you should be able to deal a lot of damage with a lot of health regen, because fortunately the damage scales 1-to-1 from your vitality, and it gives you the additional benefit of increased health regen as well. So this thing cares nothing about mana. Mana is irrelevant, but health and stamina are both very relevant instead. However, we have really high efficiency on mana regen, health regen, because of the vitality we're going to be stacking, and from your dashing, because you have really high regen, because of the tech and your dex both being really high, and you're going to have a significant amount of efficiency on the dashes themselves because of the Beats by Boizu. So for me, this build is very well packaged, it's very well contained, and other than that slight discrepancy here on the Faith, this thing is actually pretty good. It's still going to be garbage, because giving up, Hyper Beam or something, like anything at all, giving those up is particularly costly, and I appreciate that does make the world of difference for a lot of builds. But for a garbage build, I'm interested to see how hard this one can hit, because you are adding 3 stats together. Any ultimate weapons in particular, that add together more than 2 stats really give you a huge cost, whether it be just like mana drain or mana cost per cast, as it may be usually, but in this case having 0 mana to play with kind of forces you down a particular path, but of course that's interesting. It gives you different build opportunities, the likes of which you don't usually see, so I'm interested in that. But there we go. That's kind of everything I want to show off here. I'm going to jump back in when I'm level 100 as usual, and we'll show off the sort of damage output of that thing when everything's maxed out and the character's at its prime. But obviously, until then, if you guys are interested in picking up the Kawaii Lemon, obviously pop along to the Desolate Canyon. It does drop from Tyrannog. I didn't see him on my adventure just through this level right now. But if you are interested in picking one up, just farm him. Like I said, it's really easy to get at the start of the game. So if you guys are interested in any Dex, Tech, or Vitality builds, it's a really good pickup if you can find him, kill him, and get the drop. But that's it for now. Hopefully you're going to have a little bit of time streaming again, just a quick, going to slot that in there a little bit. Last time I leveled up a character, I did it on stream for a lot of it, so if you guys are interested, obviously stay tuned to the channel. You won't see the streaming for this character, but perhaps you will for the next one. And a quick reminder once again, you can vote what helmet you want to see next time on the card at the top right of your screen right now. So that's it, but of course I'll see you folks in just a second. Welcome back. So we managed to reach a few levels over 100 this time, unfortunately. I'm at the whim of the cathedral, which is where I've been leveling up, and it doesn't exactly let you out as soon as you're at the level you need to be, so it puts me in a funny position. But I am level 103, and you can see the stats I've been awarded for my endeavour here: 550 vitality, 442 dexterity, 296 tech. So stats here are actually quite respectable. I really appreciate the numbers that have been put through. You've already seen the completed rings, giving me bonus dex, tech, and crit rate, basically just stacking on top of stats that were already useful to me. But for the rest of the gear, I've actually done vitality, dex, and something else. Over on the weapon and the shield, you're doing vitality, dex, and projectile range, and onto the helmet and the helmet in the armor is crit rate as well. I did also finish up the droids, as I said I would, giving me these exact stats. This is as high as the stats will ever be for this build, as long as you use the same setup I've used. Of course, you can always use Exodus armor and stuff, and spoilers, I think it might actually make the build borderline good, but of course Exodus is the best armor in the game, so that's what you should expect. Before we do the benchmark, I'd like to comment that Dankis Booms helped me get some of the gear here, in particular the Axelox armor and the Kawaii Lemon. We were grinding out some stuff, and he was kind enough to donate these things to me while we were out and about. I have accepted a few other bits and pieces from people in the past that we'll be doing builds on in the future, so thank you to Dankis Booms for that. And genuinely, I am ecstatic, and again, it's the only reason this video is possible, so everybody should thank Dankis for that as well. In any case, we're going to do the benchmark, and I've got to say, I've already done this. I've tested this when I was about level 40, so trust me when I say it wasn't that difficult, but it isn't that quick either. So you'll see combat chips I've chosen, 6 vitality, 10 chips, that's what I said I was going to get, that's exactly what I've done. And let's just kill Caius, it's not that hard, so... the benchmark is 1288 per hit, crits are 1932. The worst part about this fight, especially as like a range character, because I gave some advice for I needed to do something that I haven't done. Let's pop this on, excuse me. The worst part of this, genuinely, I feel, is the beetles that fire off, because they are so annoying, and I can't kill Caius quite as fast as I did with the old chap's hat, because I had combat chips for that. It's a genuine drawback, or a feature, like not necessarily a bug, more of a feature, if you will. Purely because I get too dependent on combat chips, genuinely, and going from that extreme to this has been a very rewarding experience. Alright, where are you, Caius? There you are, doll. Come here, you're nearly dead, I'm pretty sure. Gotta run a little bit. That did not peter out anywhere near I thought it would. There we go, one more shot and he was dead anyway. Ta-da, done. Right. So you can see, the beetles themselves are actually the hardest enemies, I think. I've seen them time and time again block shots for Caius when I'm playing like a ranged build. And the unfortunate truth is that this range build does not pierce, like the projectiles don't actually go through an enemy to hit another one. So it's a bit of a trade-off for the additional damage, but genuinely I'm actually happy with this build. It sounds kind of weird. It doesn't actually matter what I get, I don't actually care. Just check if there's a chest, as I usually do. There is not, but I mean, the build's meant to be garbage, right? Like, it's not meant to be the best build in the entire game, granted. But at the same time, I actually find quite a lot of satisfaction with this one. The damage dealing, you know, nearly 1300 per hit, dealing nearly 2000 per crit is really, really satisfying. And that's without any crit damage increases, just the standard crit rate buffs and some extra projectile range, just so that it actually fires further than a screen, which is just for comparison there. If I actually start from here and fire it, you can see it goes off the screen. And if I start from here and dash along with it, it's to about the door, which is great. Like, it's a good like 3-4 panels further across than where it was before, which is fantastic. As I said, I think this is extremely rewarding, being able to go from the one extreme of using too many combat chips, as I am wont to do. You know, it's really, really fascinating to be able to just go pure weapon damage and rely purely on not missing shots. And excuse me, I just sneezed, which is why there was a lengthy cut there. Wow. I'm making a habit of sneezing in these videos, it's not good. In any case, that's pretty much everything I needed to show for today. As I mentioned, I did level this thing up in the Cathedral. It's for a point of reference, it's 4 shots to the Guardians, because they have like 5000 HP, and this thing does over 1250 per shot, so 4 shots to the Guardians there, 2 shots to the Experiments, 2 shots to the Cthulhus, well, the Cthulhus as they're called. So it's like a really rewarding, safe, like long-range weapon that deals a lot of damage. I feel as though it is really, really like a decent build, and something could come of this. But because it doesn't have, obviously, like the additional like projectile piercing mechanic, and it's a pretty slow shot, and you can't use combat chips, it just reduces it down to like a garbage build in general. But I did find this one to be really rewarding, as I've said multiple times now. It's been a really good experiment, and I think if you do want to play around with it, please feel free. I know people tried out the old chap's hat build and seem to enjoy that, so maybe you guys will like this one as well. I hope so anyway. Regardless, thank you for the support on this series so far. I want to make more and more for you, but of course that brings me back to the very relevant question of what do you want to see next. Obviously the choices for now are the Slimecraft Helm and the Nolic Beats. Either way, I'll be making those 2 videos regardless, and then after that I'll move on to some other stuff. If you have any suggestions for builds I should make, please leave them in the comments below, because I can of course get around to those. But I've got like I think 5 or 6 already lined up, so there is some more stuff on the way. On the note earlier, I said I'd be streaming some stuff. Depends on the build, I think, now, because I kind of want to keep the builds as a surprise. The old chap's hat was like not necessarily leaked, but it was obvious what I was using if you paid attention to any of the streams before the garbage build video actually came out. So of course, if you guys are interested in making it, you know, surprising and have fun with it that way, then let me know, and I'll just cancel the streams and I'll do it the way I did with this one. I mainly did it because I had internet connection issues as usual, but genuinely, if you guys want it to be a surprise as it was with this, because I know Jerry was actually interested in what I did with this, then of course let me know and I'll keep it that way, and we'll just fill the gaps with Zero to Hero or something. In any case, again, thank you so much for joining me on this video. Please, if you did enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. Everything you need is in the description of this video, so please, you know, hop on board. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, please look after yourselves because I would like to see you again. But for now, have fun, and I'll see you later.